Hey guys, welcome back to another auto body tutorial. Today we'll be installing a door skin, which is technically called an outer panel, on a 2016 Ford Escape. I'm Wes, the auto body guy. After 15 years in the industry, I've decided it's time to share some of the tips and tricks I've learned along the way. So what's happening here is we have gone around the outer edge of this door panel with a 36 grit grinder disc and ground it down to where it's cut through the two layers where the skin's wrapped around the edge. And we went around that on all three corners and then across the top where the belt molding sits, and then pried that from the shell, and that separated the skin from the shell, and there's some glue in there, so that takes some work there to break that free. And then so now, catching you up to where we're at, we've removed that, and then now we're going around and cleaning all the seam sealer, the old seam sealer, and getting it prepped and ready for the new skin. So here's all the clean edges. Sometimes you have to do some hammer and dollying, as you may have bent the edge slightly, removing the old skin. Here is the new skin that's ready to be prepped, and here's the old skin that we pried off. It was dented up really bad, that's why it's being replaced. Here's the glue on the back side and the vibration foam you can see. So now we're going around the edges just with a light, fine grinding disc and kind of weakening the edge of the new skin so that it will bend easily over the shell. You won't have a bunch of wrinkles and dents around the edge where you've wrapped it around the shell. Next, we will show you the adhesives that we're going to use to install the skin, and I'll put the links to these below. You can find your local supplier and put these to use. So here's the outer areas of the shell prepped and ready for the glue and vibration control before the new skin is laid on the shell. Now we'll go along and apply all the adhesives and get this ready to wrap onto the shell. So here we are using the Sim brush to brush the door skin adhesive onto all the bare metal, because that is your corrosion protection. One quick tip here is, and you can go on Sim's website to see what they recommend, but I think it's under 800 RPMs, so it's a really slow speed for the grinder, so that adhesive can lock in to the metal properly. So that's on both panels, bare metal, and then you apply the adhesive to both bare metal surfaces. So now we are going to go around and start at each corner and get the skin wrapped around the shell and in position correctly. This is kind of the most time-consuming part of it, and needs to be done correctly and slowly as to not dent the new panel or put it on crooked to where it's going to fit the vehicle correctly. Next, after the hammering, a lot of times the door skin adhesive will squeeze out, and so then you go around with some cleaner degreaser and wipe off any excess panel bond to where it's a very difficult adhesive to remove off the painted surface if you don't catch it while it's wet. So that's what we're doing there. So for any surfaces that are perfectly straight, we use this tool here. It's a pneumatic, essentially hammer and dolly, and it'll wrap the skin onto the shell to where you really don't have to do any hammering. A lot of times you have to get it started with the hammer and dolly and bend it over a little bit and then finish it off with this. It does a really nice job on the straight lines. All the curves and nooks and crannies, that's all hammer and dolly. So now we've done all our hammer and dollying and wrapping the panel onto the shell. It's a nice tight fit here. And so the next step is to prep this, sand it, clean it, and get it ready for the backside seam sealer bead. So here is our high build self-leveling seam sealer from Sim Products, and we have taped up all the edges here to get a nice factory looking bead on the back side of this, where the panel meets the shell. So once you've finished up all the seam sealing with the high build self-leveling seam sealer, then the next step is, while it is still very liquid, pull off the tape edge so that it can round down onto the metal and have a smooth edge there, rather than leaving it on and then having a very sharp seam sealer edge. So that's what we're doing here, pulling it off while it's still very tacky and wet. Now allow it to flow out and have a nice smooth bead there. And after that's complete, the next step is more degreaser and making sure all the seam sealer, any drips or smears are removed that are very difficult to sand off after the fact once they're rock hard. So checking all the edges here and getting it nice and clean. And to finish, here's our seam sealer bead laid on nice and smooth. It's self-leveling, so it lays out really nice, covers the edge there, and creates a nice final product. So this next clip is after it hit the refinish department. It's back mounted on the vehicle, and here we are checking all the gaps. Everything's looking good, nice 1/4 inch gaps and squared up all around. Thanks for watching, guys. If you found this tutorial helpful, please like and subscribe and follow along on the next one.